Hello gems, welcome back to my channel. I just need to take a second, actually a whole moment, to thank my brother for recreating this ambience for me. Literally, and you guys, thank you so much for sticking around with all my atrocious lighting. It's my humble goal to hit 5k subscribers by the end of the year. So please, 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 if you do enjoy this video, don't forget to like it. Let's have a healthy conversation down below, and most importantly, please hit that subscribe button. Today, you've already seen the title. We are gonna be re-watching together because I know you've watched it and I know what you were thinking about Paul. Don't worry, check out this video to see the other side of Paul, because I have really been enjoying how some of you have been coming back and saying, I was ready to drag Paul, but now I love Paul. Now I'm gonna be referring to Paul, Chioma, Deborah, Jamal as characters, like a case scenario. So I'm not really talking about them personally, just talking about their traits, the traits that they're exhibiting, because I think we can learn from it, don't you think? Yeah, I think we can learn from it. I mean, I'm learning a lot, and a lot of you have said you've learned a lot as well. So let's have a healthy dialogue down below. You made me wanna... The slow-mo though.
I've been with my partner for 3 years now. Just like everyone else, we've had our ups and downs, you know, things happen. But coming to therapy with a camera for some social experiment, that's just, it's a red flag, to be fair. And now, like, she knows my perspective on this. I prefer we go to a church and we sit down with a pastor.
About that, there's nothing wrong with sitting down with a pastor. I do not knock it. Anything to make sure that the relationship, the marriage, moves forward is great. However, I find that not all pastors or not all church leaders have the professional expertise when it comes to counseling and, you know, like psychotherapy. There's so many different avenues when it comes to therapy, and sometimes you may get just the biblical side of it or the religious side of things, when in actual fact you're trying to find out more about yourself, not yourself in Christ, but just yourself, the way your past has shaped you. And sometimes a professional person is the person who can actually dig deep into those things, just so that the lines between Christianity or your religion and the therapy, as in like your past hurts, doesn't start blurring. What do you guys think? I mean, I'm not saying we're knocking it, but I think it can go, both of those avenues can work in tandem. What do you think? Don't you think that we could do that? Because I've done both. I've done the Christian one, you know, church counseling, as well as actual therapy with a professional. And I dare say the professional ones with the therapist, they dug deep. That's why a lot of people don't like going to it. If you know what I'm talking about, write it down below. Let's go.
Us getting to this extent where we're actually here for a social experiment, it's just, it doesn't make sense. I think it's gonna go south, like I'm 90% sure, but at the end of the day, I'll just say, look, I told you so.
That's another thing. I find that this is like a really like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're not going in there with good faith, so chances are you're not going to put your best foot forward. And as we've all seen, his best foot was not forward, you know. And I think an advice to all of us is, if we really want to progress or push our relationships forward in a healthier way, we need to ensure that we are coming, or we are approaching therapy, counseling, wherever it's at, in good faith. Okay, we're being open-minded, just so that we're not just waiting to say, I told you so. You know, it's not about a tit for tat. Partners that have that tit for tat mentality, it tends to be a very one-sided relationship where they don't really want to impart any kind of anything substantial to move the relationship forward, because they're really waiting just to say, I told you so. I mean, I could be wrong, but that is one of the perspectives. If you understand what I'm saying, just let me know down below.
My name's Denise and I'm your therapist today. Have you ever been to therapy before?
Never. We've never been. I did go online. I read how important it is about, you know, having premarital therapy, counselling, and I do believe myself and Paul are in dire need of some help. I wouldn't say we've deteriorated to a point of no return, but at the end of the day, we're progressing in our relationship, and I'm not entirely happy.
Before they get into it, obviously, I don't know if all of you know, but I found out that obviously Denise is an actress. Yeah, she's an actress, and these couples are actually real. They're actually couples, them and Jamal and Deborah. They're real couples, but obviously this is like reality TV, hence the reason why I said we're gonna take their characters as case scenario. Okay, so we're being particular about body language, about the way they say certain things, some character traits. That's what we're looking out for here, because we know this has extra dramatics, you know, spice to make it entertaining. But at the same time, there are couples that struggle with this, and this is the dynamic in their household. So as much as this is entertainment and in a way sad that it's not real life, so to speak, we can still learn from it. Let's learn, girls, ladies and gents, let's learn. Let's go.
Currently in our relationship, we're doing a lot of patching instead of really like fixing the issues.
Okay, Paul, do you feel the same way?
I'm literally blown away. Like, I haven't even heard this before. Do you want to give more context to what you're actually saying? Because I'm a tiny bit confused.
Paul, for example, has a lot of friends. He has affluent friends. He feels like he has to fit in, which he might fit in as friendship, but when it comes to finances, he doesn't necessarily fit in. So if we're looking at percentage-wise and when they go out and what they spend, they can afford it. We can't. But Paul will do it anyway. And then he'll spend the next week or two chasing the bag he's blown, which now leaves me in a deficit of love. So there's neglect going on in our household.
All right, so we literally just got here. Like, we haven't been here for 5 minutes. Chioma's talking about finance to the bloody Denise, someone that we don't even know. Now, first of all, there is no man that's out there with multiple accounts, crypto accounts, high interest accounts, that's gonna sit down and show his girl his balance. So she doesn't even know the
About that, the men that are here, please let us know. Do you agree with Paul, what he's just said? That when it comes to finances, to a certain degree, the woman doesn't know everything. I mean, if you're married, that would be great. Your opinion matters tremendously, because I understand that obviously when you're married, you know, accounts are together, X, Y, and Z, and maybe boyfriend and girlfriend, the dynamic might be different when it comes to finances. But it'll be very interesting to hear if that's the case, because my qualm is, I mean, if you want to keep some things, you know, not so transparent with your partner, I think you need to just make them aware that, hey, we are comfortable, don't worry, we are okay, without letting them know, you know, the figures per se, but just letting her think that, you know, you've blown the bag, now you're chasing the bag the following week, but in actual fact, you're not actually chasing the bag, you're pretending to chase the bag because you still have the bag. Let's go.
Just let Paul speak regarding the image and the going out and, you know, chasing the bag, as Chioma just said.
You know what's interesting? I actually think she's right. But let me break it down for you. I'm happy and I'm humble enough to be the brokest man in a room full of millionaires.
Sorry, like... Paul is the most dramatic here. He's so theatrical, yeah? His character. Honestly, it's the facial expressions, it's the passion and the, you know, the je ne sais quoi. Let's go.
So I don't feel like I need to suffer at the expense of his investing and putting himself in positions to get deals when not all the time it works out. And we're together. Do you know what I mean? We're in a relationship. We're not business partners. So I'm suffering for nothing.
I think with that, I find that if Paul had been a little bit more transparent, not necessarily the figures of the finances, if he was transparent in a certain degree, I think Chioma probably would not have brought this up, because even though this is like therapy, it's confidential, this is out there for all of us to see. So in a way, you're kind of putting it out there to his clients as well, that, you know, he's faking it. And I think that's probably what got Paul so defensive already. He didn't come there in good faith, and then he probably felt quite attacked all of a sudden, because it's a heavy topic or a heavy issue.
Do you feel that it's an equal situation?
She just said she's suffering for nothing. Okay. So am I nothing?
That's not what I said. It's like your comprehension. This is why we're here, because anytime I bring up at home, he dismisses it.
Really?
Okay, you're not comprehending what I'm saying.
Okay.
I've literally just explained it.
Yeah. Okay, look.
Out of everything I said, you got that bit. Like, Paul's, he takes what he wants to take, he hears what he wants to hear, and he sees what he wants to see.
I'm not dismissing it right now, right? We're having a conversation. You know, I don't know you from anywhere, but you're here. Let's have the conversation, right?
He can come across quite condescending. Obviously, most of us know what's happened, but this was like the beginning of it. Beware and wary of how people treat others that can do absolutely nothing for them, okay? People that they don't necessarily respect, their opinion, their presence, how they treat those people, your partner. Be very wary and be very aware of that, because there will come a time that you may be in that position and they will treat you exactly like that, because at that moment in time, you have become someone they need nothing from you anymore. They have no use of you. And I find that in the beginning, that's how Paul was talking to Denise, because didn't really want to be there. And obviously later down in the episode, we saw that kind of was going towards Chioma. What do you guys think? What do you think?
I have access to a good number of private members clubs. This is through the clients of mine. I train high net worth individuals, you know, celebrities, you name it. Now, with these...
It's the sighing. Chioma has probably heard this word salad a million times, and she's like, I'm over it. Hence the hair flicking, the ruffling in the corner.
Obviously, it's not everyone that's, you know, invited. And I feel like that kind of affects Chioma, whereas before, if we were going to like, you know, like a normal type of, average, maybe not average Joe, but, you know, the usual, then I'll kind of be, oh, babe, you know, come along. But when I'm actually, you know, grafting and chasing the bag, I don't really feel like she needs to be present, and she actually doesn't have an invite anyway, so...
Why does he do that? Again, beware of the way people talk to you or talk at you, you know? I found that this kind of trait, let me see how I can describe it. It's kind of like he's got this, it's not inferiority complex, is it? It's like he's up here, so everyone else needs to be brought down a tad, just so that he can really explain his point and really show off how big and how important he is. And no one is saying that you're not important. No one is saying that we absolutely want to come to your programs. At least that's not what I'm getting from Chioma. But he's changed the issue at hand to something totally different, which is which tends to be called detraction. He is literally taking the whole conversation left. If you haven't seen my the video where he was talking to the therapist, I go into, she's not a therapist, the black therapist, that's how I've named her, she's called Emily. He constantly was taking the conversation elsewhere, detracting the conversation. And as I mentioned in that video, I think it's just one of his, maybe it's a false habit, or maybe it's very conscious, because maybe the conversation at hand is very uncomfortable. So he needs to take it to a different direction where he has more control over. And I think we will see that throughout this episode.
So my point is, you're putting too much emphasis on the way they see you. Why is that? You're supposed to be impressing me, not them.
So the type of people that I deal with, they're on another level, to be fair. They're high net worth and they work really hard for themselves. Now, for me to be able to kind of be that act of service for them, you can imagine how hard I have to work. If they're calling you, you need to answer. If they're sending you a message, whether it's a text or WhatsApp, listen, you need to be on point.
I totally empathize and understand where Paul is coming from. He's very hardworking, and obviously, as we said, as he mentioned in the previous video that I keep referring to, his love language, or the way he shows love, is him providing and taking care of the home. I find that the issue here is both of them want different things. Throughout the whole body language of Chioma was just irritation, frustration, and it's like, why is this guy still talking kind of energy. That's what I got. What did you get? Let me know down below. Your first impressions of the way Chioma was articulating her speech. That's what I got. Frustration, irritation, like, look at him, still talking. Definitely the Nigerian side came out. But yeah, I think what both of them are failing to understand is if the relationship is going to move forward. So let's say your partner, you and your partner, you see yourself in the characters of Chioma and Paul. In order to really move forward, even though both of you have your issues, you have your needs, you both need to bend in some way to meet in the middle in order to move forward. Literally, that is the only way. No matter if the energy was different from the beginning, someone's not holding the bargain up right now. Both of you need to be adults and say, what do we do going forward? How can we meet in the middle in a healthier manner so that it doesn't seem like one person is holding us all the way to the end of the finish line or dragging us there? So yeah.
Paul, do you feel that you're giving as good as you get in the love stakes?
Well, to be fair, I thought I did, but now I'm thinking to myself, like, does she trust, do you trust me?
Oh, see that thing he does again. Paul! Detraction. This thing it's very irritating, and it can easily knock you off balance. This is why I'm saying it's just really part and parcel of his fiber. You're talking about A, and then all of a sudden he brings up P or X, and you're like, huh? Do you trust me? What does that even have to do with this? But the reason why they do, it's a tactic, people. It's a tactic. Again, I don't know if it has any malicious intent, but it's a tactic nonetheless. You're heated, so they divert you to this place. You focus on that. It makes you even more irritated, and they're able to get a reaction out of you, and then they're able to dominate in that area. And then by the time you realize, the issue that you were originally talking about is left unaddressed. But they've successfully knocked you off your balance from A, introduced more issues from P, and left you with it. I understand why people associate his traits with narcissism because it's just classical narcissistic tactics, you know, and it's mixed with gaslighting and makes you really feel very cray-cray. But again, I don't know if it's malicious here because I'm not in Paul's head, but that's how it's coming across. It's coming across very manipulative and calculated.
What?
Yes or no?
I do trust you.
Okay. If you trust me and you trust my judgment and you know that between the both of us, we both got ourselves to the position where we are, which is a better position than we were in, why would you not continue to trust the process?
This is it. Like, I find that he's very rigid, okay? Rigid in his thinking. But it's funny when it comes to him, he doesn't keep that same energy. Again, it comes across that he's not very self-aware. And when it comes to emotions, he's very avoidant. So he can come across very stonewally, you know, stonewall. Chioma voices out her issues, her concerns, stonewalls, and throws the stone to Africa.
Because you've eradicated the whole love aspect of our relationship. I'm a woman. I'm not wood.
Body no be firewood. Hey, let's go.
This is the problem that I have with women, right? Like, for example, with Chioma and I, when we first started, she knows I'm hardworking. I was doing XYZ, what I had to do, okay? Everything was fine. She was happy I've got a hardworking guy, okay, hug, kiss, okay, cool. Nowadays, when I'm coming back late, the same person's complaining, asking me where am I coming from? And I'm thinking, what? Fair enough, I don't work overtime and I'm doing other things on a different level, but I'm the same person, so why would you question it?
Yeah, so rigid. I get him, like, keep the same energy from when we began to now. But relationships are fluid, you know, quite dynamic because people change. We're human beings. We experience different things at different stages with our partners in our own personal lives. So somebody who has a very rigid mindset leaves no room for change. But when it comes to them, they expect that you will accommodate them. And I dare say that probably the reason why they've lasted this long is because Chioma is very accommodating. We have seen that over the courses of the episodes where she easily yields to him just for peacemaking sake. And relationships like that, had one person not been the accommodating type or the yielding type, it would have ended a long time ago. So I know a lot of you are screaming, but why is Chioma there? What does Chioma see in Paul? Chioma has invested 3 years and she's hoping that, you know, the soft bit inside the shell of Paul will be cracked, you know, and then she can go in there and just embrace soft Paul. All right.
What's the last loving thing you did for
Denise?
Yeah, Denise.
Look, we're not going to play the whole turn each other against each other. When's the last time you bought flowers? Look, forget about all.
Again, another detractor. He's distracting. He's literally taking the conversation away from him. Why? Because he feels uncomfortable. He knows he's lacking in that area. He knows he cannot be articulate. He knows that he doesn't have any leg to stand on when it comes to that department. He's thought ahead and he's calculated ahead, and he said, you know what? I'm not about to get both of you to gang up on me. Let me shift the conversation to something else. That's what he's doing here. He's trying to take the pressure off him, and I understand to a certain degree, but I think the way that he's going about it defeats the whole purpose of the counselling, you know, of the whole session, because the issue still stays, you know, it's still there.
Let's get down to what it is now. Just to briefly go over this, right? As far as I understand, you've been called, or employed rather, to basically help us in our relationship to get better, right? Okay. So how do you think you're doing so far?
You see what he does? He reels you in, gets your attention, and then throws back some cow dung on you to deal with. Oh my god. And he's so serious about it. Chioma's like, boy, if you don't.
Be open-minded. I feel like people get results from you if they're open-minded.
Babe, she didn't answer the question. What's your success rate? I need percentages. I deal with figures.
I'm afraid I don't work in figures. I work in people.
Tell him, I don't work in figures. I work in people. All right, Denise, we get you. But yeah, that is, I thought that was a very patronizing, condescending way to address the issue. You know, I mean, if you want to know someone's credentials, there's a way to go about it, especially considering that he says he deals with affluent people and all sorts. I would have thought he would have dealt with this a little bit differently, but again, it's a tactic. He's not really talking about this. He's trying to shift them from the topic at hand, the one that we were talking about 5 minutes ago. That's what he's trying to shift from, because the heat is on him. When they ask, what's the last loving thing you did for Chioma? Now we're here asking about how well Denise, what's Denise's track record. You see what he did there? I had to really dig into my cerebral cortex to remember what we were even talking about.
If we're both kind of in line in terms of our goals and our visions, then I would assume that we'd both basically be on the same page. Is that wrong, Denise?
No, it's good when couples are on the same page, but are you on the same page?
This is it. It's like he asks very close-ended questions where it kind of locks you into where he needs you to be, kind of like the spider and the fly analogy. The web is there, and then he's like, and then he catches you, you know. He literally throws it on you, takes it off of him, and you're just caught like, okay, where is this going? But you feel like you have to answer the question, but in answering the question, it's kind of like you're caught in his spider's web and you're exactly where he needs you to be. I think that's exactly the reason why when probably behind the scenes, Chioma is unable to get through to him in any way, because imagine doing this gymnastics conversation for 5 minutes is even tiring. Imagine 3 years of that.
I just wondered, you know, whether that was influencing the way that you deal with life. Sorry?
I'm a provider.
What is it that you do? I don't understand. Just
I don't see how this is gonna.
This I'm a provider thing, everyone's just throwing it out like it's like tissue paper or something. I'm a provider. What does that entail? You can easily say something like, the line of work that I'm in is not something I can disclose publicly, you know, and Chioma would know exactly what you're talking about. But clearly his line of work is very, I mean, I'm still confused as to what he does, because I think he's a personal trainer, but at the same time, he goes to events where girls are sitting on his lap dancing. I don't know personal trainers who have to woo their clients in that respect, but I know you've watched it. What does Paul do? Let me know. Educate me, please.
This is the problem that I have, right? Look, with this Denise lady, I just feel like she's just asking lots of intrusive questions that doesn't really relate to the situation at hand.
How do you know it does not relate to the situation at hand? The thing is, he thinks he knows everything. He's involved in that relationship and he knows how to get them out of it. But the thing is, you don't. You're already invested in it. Your emotions are invested in it. And even if it's not love, the anger, the rage, the irritation, the frustration, all of that is invested in it. So you cannot be objective in getting both of you out of that situation. So when someone outside of both of you is asking this question, it's up to you to surrender, so to speak, to just say, do you know what, I don't know where this question is going to lead us. However, you asking it, I know you know where this question is going to lead us, and it's going to help us get to the goal that we've set for ourselves. But again, someone who has a trait like this, that has this God complex where they think they have to know everything, or they already know everything to get them somewhere, is a very dangerous place to be. This coupled with a rigid mindset, I don't know, I was going to say I don't know how people are able to be in relationships with someone like that, but I've been there before and it was tough. It was very tough.
She's asking me, what do I do? Like, I make money, that's what I do. Like, it's a silly question. What do you want from me? Do you understand? You're here for a certain purpose, to help with the relationship. Do that. If you can't do that, then you're not of use for me.
See, like his way of, it's like he already has an idea of how therapy is, or maybe how Denise should be doing her job. So if it doesn't fall in line with his way of doing it, then he already checks out and already deems you useless. Okay, so that's why he's so defensive here and stonewalling pretty much both of them, really.
The whole point is, she's here, right? And I got her here. We've been together for 3 years.
You got me here.
No, well, not here specifically, but I mean, you know, in terms of the journey, we've been together for a long time. I've managed to sustain our relationship financially, if that's the question you're asking.
No, I wasn't. I was simply wondering what motivated you and how you work together.
Imagine, had he answered the question, all Denise wanted to know was what motivated you. Literally, that was it. But he has to go through higgy haga to here, you know?
When we started dating, we used to like the same music. He was more fun. Now I don't even know who's sitting next to me.
I think that's BS.
It's BS.
Look, music. I'm a Burna Boy fan. You used to be, but now
I still like Burna Boy.
WizKid. Like, that doesn't make sense. If you like something, just stick to, you know.
First of all, you've changed, babe. You didn't like what you liked 5 years ago. I know that because of the food, simply the food that you eat. Okay, so people change. I still like Burna Boy, but yes, I prefer WizKid. It doesn't mean that it has to be your way.
See, like, this is a red flag, you know. It may come across very subtle, but in a way, again, as I mentioned before, if your partner has a very rigid mentality where it's this way and that is it, you cannot change, they literally box you in. And if you haven't found yourself, it can be very, very suffocating. That's the word, because I know that's what happened to me.
Make like a checkbox type of situation, and we mark stuff off, help each other out with whatever it is that we need help with, and it's worked basically in our relationship.
It hasn't worked.
In his mind, it's working. In her head, well, in her experience, it's not working. But again, because it's this rigid way of doing things, it's kind of like it's not working because you don't want it to work. Rather than it's not working, let's revisit it and see how we can move forward. You know, it's a very dangerous kind of trait to have in a partner, and again, the accommodating partner can feel very suffocated in that respect.
How did you run your household?
Well, obviously everything was self-sustainable, self-managed. However, at the end of the day, I think the question that you should be asking Chioma is, if she is getting into a relationship with a person like myself, I don't want to say bring into the table, but...
What am I bringing to the table?
No, I'm not saying that you don't bring anything to the table. I'm saying you need to let her know that there's certain things that are expected.
I get where he's going with that, obviously. We know where he's going with that. High value man. When you're with a high value man, you basically have to cooperate. You basically have to be submissive, inspirational, and all of that good stuff. Shout out to all the Kevin Samuel fan. Whoop whoop. But I think obviously what we've already gathered is he's not being direct about it, or should I say from the get-go of their relationship, he probably thought he could mold her into the submissive wife, the cooperative wife, the housewife kind of girlfriend, so to speak, and it's not working. And because again he has that narrow mindset, it's like the only reason why it's not working, it's because it's Chioma. Chioma is the common denominator here. So if Chioma would just not do everything that she's doing and just be a housewife, everything will be fine. All their problems will go away. And that is a whole load of expectation and pressure to put on somebody who does not want to be a housewife. We already know that because she's going to say, let's go.
If I wanted to be a housewife, I would have become a housewife. That's what you keep pushing for me to do. That's not what I want to do, babe.
Okay.
Okay?
Denise.
He used to clean his own house and change his sheets and cook for himself. We just moved in together 6 months ago, and all of a sudden that has now become my duty and mine alone. Bearing in mind, both of us are busy.
Now with myself, I'm an earner. Do you understand? I will go out and I will come back and I'm bringing the bacon for real. Do you understand? If that's the case, and I'm able to provide for the both of us and kids in the future from now, why would she stress herself being out, trying to earn the same thing that I already have? Sit down. Let's figure out something. I want to come home with a check and say, babe, how should we invest this?
I mean, you know, he's a provider. You know, he wants to provide for someone who is a housewife, so to speak. And I think that's a great thing. A lot of men can take a leaf out of his book. But I think he takes it to a whole different level, especially when the partner you're with for 3 years cannot fit into that mold that you've created, you know? It makes it a very weird dynamic. Should we just continue?